Tax time doesn't have to be stressful. You want to know what it feels like to be stress-free? Call the professionals at SJC Financial Solutions. We can provide you with professional and experienced staff, electronic filing, individual and business tax returns. We provide bookkeeping, payroll, IRS collection representation. You can reach us at 800-542-1393, or you can log on to www.yourtaxremedy.com. That is yourtaxremedy.com. We are an authorized e-file provider, and we are IRS enrolled agents. Again, tax time doesn't have to be stressful. Know what it's like to be stress-free. Call SJC Financial Solutions. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount.
Hey folks, this is the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder. You're back on the Wrath of Ruthless, and of course we are continuing on with the wonderful fourth anniversary of Words Don't Do It Justice here on the Wrath of Ruthless. And now I have the pleasure of reintroducing you to the woman who held us down every Wednesday on Words Don't Do It Justice. She came in early, but not the beginning of the vision, but definitely had a major impact and changed things for the better in all sorts of ways. So, without further ado, welcome back, Rain. How you doing?
Shucks. All the feels. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm good. Today was a good day.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, today's an interesting day, let me tell you. There's crazy stuff going on all over the world. One, there's a very funny video from the guy who did the did you see the if meat eaters were like vegetarians video back like must have been a few months ago?
I want to say yes, and I want to say I laughed
Yeah, the redheaded
my
guy that like
entire ass off.
yeah, starts annoying people about eating meat.
Yeah.
My favorite line is still,
Oh my goodness.
"You eat plants. My food eats that. I'm offended."
Who eats that? Oh my goodness.
So
shout out to all the vegetarians out there.
Whatever. They are mad at me.
All the time.
I'm only gonna make the vegans madder than the vegetarians. Because I don't care. And I'm an evil person. Having people notice by now. No, he made a second video that I have got to show you if you haven't caught it already. About being offended. That is like just.
I did see that one, but I was at work today, so I haven't had a chance to actually watch it.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, I love it. I was all about it. Oh, it was great. I woke up to finding out what was going on. I was like, whoa, what? So.
How to be offended.
Yes, it's great. It's absolutely great. So, of course, we can always have a good side convo on just about everything. But I also wanted to make sure, we talk to folks about simple stuff, easy stuff to talk about. One, I'm sure everybody is also wondering, even though we just talked about them, 2 weeks ago now on the last show, how is number one super pup and official mascot of Words Don't Do It Justice, Shadow, doing?
He is doing fine. He is quite happy these days because the ladies up the block are being welcoming, to say the least. And when I say ladies, I do mean other people, or not people, other animals of doggish persuasion. So he's been making friends. I actually just let him in from having friendly time. He's a happy puppy right now. He's a happy puppy.
Good, good. Um,
Yeah.
so why don't you give folks just a quick update what you're up to? You know, uh, obviously not too much. We don't want the stalkers appearing.
Yeah, definitely. I am working on some things. I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm working on some things, and I'm getting back into my writing mojo. So maybe keep a lookout for that. But specifically, I have a few ideas on some things that I really want to work on. Might get me in a little bit of a trouble, but I'm good at doing that sort of thing. So we can look forward to that in the next coming weeks or so. And that's what I'm doing in terms of WTDIJ. And life is just life. I'm, as they would say, chilling.
That's always good. Hey, you know, we've had, of course, Chris has been on, Chris Hines, who
Hmm.
it was recently revealed to me is apparently not real. He is, according to some uh, Twitter folks and YouTube commenters, he is a figment of my imagination, and I use him to cover for things that I don't want to say.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. He and I had that conversation when it happened, and then of course we talked about it on our recording that we did yesterday. So guys, check out Chris Hines' episode coming up here soon. It may even be on tacked on with this one. Who knows? But yeah, it was hilarious. He's like, so wait, so I don't exist? Like, yeah, you don't exist. Like, you're me. Didn't you know that, me?
Wow.
He's like, so I can just
Who was I
like,
having all those extra conversations with then? Goodness. And why didn't you tell me, you?
it may be one of the most hilarious things I've seen someone pop up with. I mean, Lord knows everybody's had conspiracy theories, but to just straight up say somebody who has appeared on the podcast at the same time as me, uh, isn't a real person.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't
Who came up with that? Wait, what?
random YouTube commenters like that happens. What can I say? But
I feel like I feel like it's a trap. Somebody just wanted more Chris in their life, and so they decided to like come up. That's what I'm sticking with. That's my story.
I thought it was hilarious. I just could not believe it. It's like, so you think we just one that we have the money and that I have the time to fake an entire person's voice on a podcast. Like I could get it
But
if he
for
were just
why?
like if he had just been writing, I could have understood like, oh, this is clearly, Ruthless doing like somebody else so that he can, write and say different things and it looks like there's more people writing. Like I could totally get that. But Chris and I do the Westworld reviews. Chris and I do the Game of Thrones reviews. He's been on multiple episodes of The Wrath of Ruthless. Like,
I think he did. I think we did an episode. Like I think he was even on an episode with me.
yeah,
Like, wait a
that's
minute.
just I'm like, that's a lot of work. We have an entire SoundCloud full of episode recaps for 2 seasons of Game of Thrones and a season of Westworld, and you think we what?
Who has that kind of time
Like,
though?
can you imagine how much work that would be to do the audio where I had to splice like my fake voice on top of my own voice. Sometimes at the same time I'm talking.
I I feel like somebody is trying to inception you or something. This
It
is
was crazy. It was
this
crazy.
is not
Chris
how
and I
this
have had a great
works.
laugh about it, and he brought it back because like I told him about it, and I didn't think we were gonna bring it up on the show. He brought it up at the end of the show and was just like, "Oh God, yeah, let's tell people about this craziness." Oh, it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, no, like things are good. Um, speaking of Game of Thrones, they're apparently uh coming back in June, so we'll be back to doing our
Looking
episodes.
forward to it.
Yeah.
There's something about that opening theme that just brings me joy for some strange reason. And then one of my roommates and I were just sitting in the sitting in the kitchen last night, and she randomly goes shame, and all I could say is ding ding. You can't say shame in front of me and not get a random ding ding because that's you just it just happens automatically.
Yeah, that really has kind
That
of
was like
stuck
an
with
epic
people.
moment.
That really has kind of stuck with people. Like it's really not going away. Oh man, it's sad that
Ring.
there's only 2 seasons left. Well, I should say, it's sad that there's only 2 seasons left, but these are 2 seasons that ultimately don't matter, just like the last one didn't matter because that's not really how any of these events are going. They're so
See, I
direct.
didn't read the books.
Yeah, you need to read the books.
I didn't read the books,
Read them.
and I was actually also having this conversation with roommates the other day. I made an active, conscious decision to not read things that I would want to watch anymore because I knew that I'd end up being disappointed. I
Well,
don't I
and
don't
that's the
like it when they
thing.
change
Like
stories.
this. Okay, so if rumors are true, and at this point I can't necessarily agree with them because the rumors were that the book was coming out last year. If rumors are true, then the Winds of Winter will be out before this year's over. Um, George himself
Hmm.
said that he, has lightened up a lot of his schedule so he can keep working, and that he spends most days working on Winds of Winter to get it ready. But he also blew through like two deadlines uh, that he set for himself over the last like 18 months. Two major deadlines that
Hmm.
he set for himself. So while I continue to hold out hope that we're going to get the book this year, it may be next year. Um, and then because it takes, what do you say? It takes 3 months, and this was for the longest book, which I think is a Storm of Swords at this point. But it takes 3 months to get the manuscript edited and ready for publication. So if he, hmm, like, if he finishes it by the next break in his schedule, you're looking at done at the end by the end of April. 3 months. Yeah, so it could potentially be ready as early as the end of the show because the show's gonna start in June this year, so it'll be done. For, so he could potentially release it on the 24th of July. Sorry, 25th of July, or the very first of August,
Hmm.
because it's 7 episodes.
I'm gonna wish for the 1st of August, just because 3 months and then publication and all that stuff, and then I guess they can start filming. That's how that works. So that it can
Well,
be in time.
I mean, I gotta think they're gonna do another June release on the season because it's still going to be winter for season 7 or 8. 8, yeah. So and they've delayed filming this year, this past year, to make it, into this year actually, to make sure that they could get the winter scenes that they wanted. So, because I want to say they wrapped like not too long into this year,
Okay.
because they didn't even start filming until October, and not everyone's scene started then.
Oh
It was just
wow.
like location stuff. Yeah, they were purposely looking to get their locations in their winter environments. So I would expect
Mm,
more of that going down here with another June release, unless they've like filmed some stuff ahead and are ready to go for season 8. But I don't know if they'll really do that. So, but yeah, you got to figure August, late July, somewhere in there, and then yeah, that stuff technically will have primarily been done already. I can't really expect too much from the When It's Winter showing up in the HBO show. Oh man,
hmm.
so it could be an interesting thing. I'm looking forward to it. Westworld's my other big one that I'm so sad that they're taking forever. They're
I
they're not gonna
haven't
have.
started that one yet.
Oh, get going! You're gonna like it.
Well,
Uh,
I like binge watching, so
yeah.
I need them to have at least like about like not even because I can generally watch a season of something
Hmm.
in like 2 weeks. So I need longer than 2 weeks worth of programming to watch something.
Well, they won't be back until 2018, and they haven't said when in 2018.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
see, it's going to be a minute before anything.
yeah. Westworld is extremely expensive to shoot. Um, just because of the environments, the locations, and of course the actors involved. Like, let's see here. I'm trying to think who I can tell you without spoiling. Um, what is her name now? I just forgot her name. It's not Brie Larson. Evan Rachel Wood. There we go. Evan Rachel Wood, Jeffrey Wright, James Marsden, Ed Harris, and let's see, can I not spoil myself? And Anthony Hopkins, of course, because he's kind of front and center in a lot of stuff. And
Right.
I'm trying to think who else isn't spoiling by bringing up. Oh, and Thandie Newton. Yeah, she's not. That's not a spoiler.
Okay.
I was like,
But
it's hard for me to be like, it's hard for me to like talk about Westworld because it's like, all right, who is not spoiling by me telling that they're in the show? um,
see, it's not see for me, I guess this is why I'm a bad TV watcher or a bad fan person
mhm.
or whatever because literally the way how my attention span is set up, I have to be able to basically I need roughly 2 weeks so I can spend time, develop a relationship, decide whether or not I like the show. And then if I like the show enough to actually watch the second season needs to be there. Even if only half of a second season there, I need a second season. So that way I can, it's kind of like whetting the appetite for the rest of it.
mm,
So I need,
how can I say
I don't know,
this?
I'm a bad fan.
You, in this case, I would say this is probably one of the shows that you actually need the break for.
What?
Yeah, because there's tons of spoilers out there and everything. Obviously, you can catch up as fast as you like, but
No, I don't pay. I when it's a show that I know I intend to watch, I don't. As soon as I see something mentioning it, I scroll by.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even all right, I'll put it like this: people figured out what was going on early, and that's just because I mean you have people like me. One, you have people like me who like called it day one as a joke and turned out to be right. But also you have this problem of when the entirety of the internet is trying to figure out what the twist is, they're going to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
I
you
guess
can't
that makes
you
sense.
can't take 85% of 7 billion people and not expect your TV show to get figured out ahead of time. So, uh, so in this particular case, like the internet together, we have figured out all of Westworld. And obviously, Chris and I did the recap shows where we talked about our theories and whatnot, and constantly got proven right. So don't listen to those either. But it's one of those shows that if you don't have someone spoiling it, it is definitely a show that is going to take a lot of time to unpack. I want to say the opening episode was 90 minutes. I want to say it was 90 minutes. And I think the climactic episode 10 season finale was also that long, but it's produced and written by Jonathan Nolan, with some help from J.J. Abrams. Um, and
That's a good show.
and
That's actually the J.J. Abrams is actually one of the drawing factors for me to watch this show
I'll put it this way:
because I've watched a lot of J.J. Abrams' other stuff and I like it.
he's involved in the executive producing it, and he helped out a little bit on the show. But this is Jonathan Nolan getting to show exactly how good he really is at this stuff. Uh,
Mm.
and like there's a reason that Jonathan Nolan is like the go-to writer for his brother Chris. Like there's a reason for it. You watch the show and you're like, yeah, yeah, I see why this is happening. Um, but it's compelling. It's amazing. But it's like if you're discovering it on your own, it's one of those ones that you're like, okay, what was this meaning? Okay, did this mean this? Okay, what about that? Because does that mean this thing too? It's one of those kind of series. Like
Okay.
you will have to unpack every episode as you watch it, because they number one, they are actively screwing with you at certain points. And
We shall see.
not the cheap way. Like but they are actually like actively, openly screwing with you at certain points, and it's just like, oh, how did I miss that? Oh, of course that was that. Oh, what is wrong? Like it's one of those moments. Like you have that problem with the story. It's one of those. But it's amazing. Like it is absolutely amazing. Um, and they said the first season was dollars budget wise.
That's
It's actually not bad.
that is
It's about
not
that's about
sane.
that's about 10 million an episode. Like I'm sure some
Mm.
episodes cost less and some episodes cost more, but like reportedly the budget was $100 million. Um,
I've heard of shows that get canceled for spending less than that. Like
well, yeah,
that
but
is not that's insane. That's a
this
lot of
is
money.
this is the big replacement for Game of Thrones essentially, because Game of Thrones is done next year, so you got to think, um, you got to think that the budgets on that have to really kind of match, because Game of Thrones is this to put it this way, ungodly expensive. Oh,
Yes, but the difference is that at this point, Game of Thrones has even way more than the viewership to justify it.
well,
Not to say that Westworld doesn't. It's just Westworld is new.
yeah, because I think the first season of Game of Thrones was it wasn't done, obviously it wasn't done on the cheap, but the uh
But it definitely wasn't quite as pricey as the next several
yeah.
seasons because it didn't catch. I don't think it had really caught on as well as it had until like season two.
Well,
Like season
yeah,
two is when I started really hearing everybody talking
yeah.
about.
The midpoint of season 1 is what got it. Like from that point forward, it seemed to turn into just a massive hit, and then the way they end the first season, yeah, that's what grabs you. Yeah, the first see here the pilot cost 5 million. The first season of Game of Thrones was a budget of 60 million plus that, so 70 total. Let's see here. They got a 15% budget increase for the uh, Battle of the Blackwater, which was an $8 million budget for that episode. So, and then the averages until season 6 were 8 million an episode for Game of Thrones. The sixth
I am
season,
in the wrong
this past season, the sixth season was
profession.
10 million an episode, and Westworld came in
I
at
am
that.
like I need to like seriously contemplate life right now because clearly I'm not doing it right.
Well, and that's a good thing to transition into. So, folks, and obviously, you should know about this well, but there is a couple of HBO fellowships that are going on. One, they are extremely interested in getting women, especially women of color, as writers, and so they have a fellowship program going on every year where they try to get a number of writers, directors, uh, into the HBO Fellowship program that is just for them, uh, where you can, you know, pitch a dramatic or comedy series, uh, and so they run that fellowship, and it allows artists and writers to get noticed, directors to get noticed, as well as writers to get noticed for show concepts. They also you know have talked about and how they have a number of those that are former fellowship folks that are developing stuff to get a pitch at the end of the fellowship. But apparently, the fellowship goes on for more than a year. So,
Hmm.
but HBO has the option to produce those. Then they also have their usual yearly fellowship contest. That's also for comedies and dramas for you to pitch as well. I'm not a TV writer, which is why I haven't really ever entered it. Um, like I think writing for television takes a little bit different thing than I'm used to, and I'm not I have not developed my screenplay writing skill enough to do TV yet.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's their fellowship program for TV stuff. It looks like that's the way that they're trying to grow things going forward. Obviously, you still have your big name folks. I mean, Jonathan Nolan deciding he wants to do something on HBO was huge. But of course, you have Issa Rae with Insecure that has come in on a lower budget and has a hit show. I mean, that show has won so many awards and is like lauded. Our episodes where Brittany and I did the recaps for that uh, average like 1,000 views. People love Insecure.
I enjoyed it. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was
That
refreshing
much
in
I
that
can
way.
say. It was not what I was expecting. It was just I was expecting one thing because I did actually used to watch the thing that the her YouTube videos that she used to have.
Her web series, yeah.
Yeah, I did used to watch those, and for some reason in my head I was expecting it to be more like those, and I don't think they're anything like those. Like show in and of itself, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I was down with it. I liked it. Um,
So it's I'm looking forward to the next season. That's all I can say about that. You know, being all spoiler free and whatnot.
I think at this point, kind of everybody knows what's gone down in that first season. Literally everything. Uh,
That
but
was, I mean,
that's kind of the best part, though. Like it
the
really
way that it
has,
ended, though, like that
right?
is not how I expected it to go at all. I was like, I was just a shocked too. I was like, wait, what? I mean, granted, I guess she doesn't know what happened technically,
Yeah,
but yo, that's just not what I was expecting.
I was so about it. I was so about it.
Like, I understand why it had to happen, but
Hmm.
I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
Well, because I'll be honest, I was worried that what she had done was going to have no consequences. You know,
See, nah, I knew that wasn't good. I knew for sure
no,
that wasn't how that was going to go.
I shouldn't say no
But I didn't
consequences.
think that it was gonna. I just didn't know it was gonna go like that.
When I say no consequences, I don't mean him breaking up with her. Like, I don't mean that. Like that, I was like, okay, that's gonna happen, but there's not gonna be any consequences. Like, because that's how TV normally goes. The act of the other person leaving is the only consequence for one of the people cheating. Like that's always what it is. And I was like, oh, here we go again. And then they're like, no, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna do more. I'm like,
And
okay,
then some.
like we're
They
gonna do
didn't just
more
do more. They
better.
went
Okay,
they went like the full. This is what happens when,
there was
and
emotional fallout,
it was
and
real. It was real. It was real.
when
Like
he left the Best Buy shirt hanging in the closet,
I was like, wow.
my dude. Oh man. So
I
no.
was. I mean, I was pissed off at her regardless, like for what she did. But man, listen, that whole
Oh,
thing. I don't even.
she has
I can't
an
even finish
amazing eye for that
sentences.
though. I feel like she has an amazing eye
Huh?
for she has an amazing eye for for doing that kind of writing because it's vulnerable.
Opportunities for realness.
Yeah, it's vulnerable. It's a the character of Issa on the show is vulnerable in a way we don't see characters, especially in comedy.
I can accept that.
You never get somebody like properly having to deal with consequences the way the entire season she has. And yeah, sometimes that stuff gets repaired easily. Sometimes it doesn't. Like and
Most of the time, it doesn't. That was real. I'm sorry.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like I liked that she was like, no, no, some stuff's gonna get fixed. Not everything can be fixed like this. We can't, you start riding these highs with her, and you're like, yeah, but there's never any down points. Then you start looking back, going like, actually, no, there were a lot of down points. We just keep forgetting about them as we watch the show and laugh. It was great. It was great. It's one of those great shows. I'm really glad Brittany like introduced me to it before they did the actual series premiere. Um,
Mm.
Great show. But no, there's so much going on. Have you seen Get Out yet?
I guess you missed my status yesterday morning.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yesterday morning, I had to make a post because I was so traumatized. A random impure thought about a dude I used to date. And then I had a Get Out flashback and instantly had the sad face because I was just like, wow.
Oh, I just found it,
Yeah.
and I'm laughing at it.
Yes. Laugh. Laugh. Because, yeah. Because I am, all about the not discriminating. And now I'm feeling discriminate. Oh, no, no,
uh,
no.
uh, oh man, no, and they came from my beloved T. I was just like, oh man, oh what am I gonna do? I can never have tea around white people ever again. Uh,
That whole thing, I was traumatized, man. Traumatized.
Jordan Peele has done something that I
Traumatized.
didn't think was going to happen in the age of the orange one. Um, he has made a movie that not only attacks the very obviously bigoted people around you, but also attacks the quote well-meaning, racism.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's caused a very interesting thing. Like I don't know if you saw what went down on my wall following me posting one of the reviews of Get Out. Uh,
Mm-mm. No, because again, I knew that I was going to see the movie, so anytime I see something, I instantly ignore so that I don't get spoilers. So yeah,
I
no,
mean that makes sense. I mean that's okay. That's totally okay. But
I really don't like spoilers.
I will tell you what happened so that you can. I was I'm gonna bring this up because it does deserve to be brought up because I need people to understand this going forward anyway. If you are
Hmm.
on my wall and you see something in general, but especially something I don't have a caption on, don't assume that I agree or disagree with whatever's being posted. Like a lot of times, and Rain can tell you this. A lot of times, I'm just posting it to see what kind of conversation pops up. Sometimes it
True
used to be
story.
a lot of it used to be fuel for episodes, but in general, like you can't assume unless it's stuff like there's a video about this this coffee shop in Singapore that does unicorn tears as an alcoholic drink, and I'm like totally into this. I totally want some. Um, but if if I'm not commenting and I haven't put a caption on it, it's not really guaranteed that I'm going to, agree or disagree. I probably do agree or disagree very openly in other mediums, but if I haven't put anything on it, it may just be so you see it. Uh, and so what I did, rather fun for me at least, uh, I did two things. One, I posted a piece where someone was talking about recapping Get Out, and it did include spoilers, so good job not seeing that. Um, but it was talking about Jordan Peele's Get Out and what he was essentially doing with white women. Like basically saying that uh, he captures the truth about the dangerous nature of trusting white women.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Okay, never mind. Carry on. Carry on.
yeah. So what he was dealing with, and this is something that I think Jordan Peele specifically can really understand more than a lot. Not because he's biracial, but because
He's married
he's
to a white woman?
well, no, not even just that. It's that and the fact that his relationships with women already have him on guard because he's famous.
Okay, fair
You know
enough.
what I mean? Like, yeah, Jordan Peele at like 21 before he even gets on Mad TV, that's gonna. I would be like, okay, this is clearly leaning on his experience as a biracial man, but Jordan Peele has been on TV since he was on Mad TV. He got famous with Key and Peele. They've done Keanu, and this is his directorial debut. He's married a white woman. He's been doing comedy for years now. Like this is clearly a point where he's going. Not only is this about race, but this is about me showing you what my fame does to looking at the people around me and the kinds of fears that I can pull from that without explicitly saying it. And that's what happens. Um, Let me pull that up. There we go. And so this person's kind of going through talking about the racial end of things, and I was like, oh, this is a really interesting piece. Like, I don't agree with everything that they draw from here, but I bet people will like take a look and say some interesting things about this.
Hmm.
So some folks commented, and I was happy to see those comments. Uh, and and somebody asked me, was I going to clarify my position? Now,
But why
no,
should you?
no, not at all. Like, why would I? One, why should I? Yes, but also, why would I? Like, this is something for you all to react to. Like, just because it's on my wall doesn't mean I have to give you commentary. It could have been that I was going to leave this up and let people talk about it, and then post a a movie review about Get Out. I wasn't, but
Mm.
it could have been that. It could have been that I was going to make it a whole show topic. I wasn't, but that was possible as well. I just felt like sharing it because I thought it was interesting because I think the responses to Get Out are interesting in and of themselves. Like you see disaffected white people talking about Get Out. You see a person who I don't I really I often find him extreme and you know how I feel about extremists. The Love Life of an Asian Guy page,
Okay.
like he was talking about, he had a very interesting commentary on why there's only one Asian person in Get Out, and that was interesting. So I posted that. This was interesting because it took a different tactic, and that was interesting as well. And it was funny to watch the comments because first you get a white person, then you get a Latina person, then you get another white person, and you get these people commenting, followed by the arrival of black women to the page, uh, and you get this interesting lack of civility suddenly that I
I
had to
think that's
delete.
mandatory.
Well, no, like
I
there was,
think that's mandatory.
I, I love her to death. She is the first ever, guest in the Imperial Dream section. Uh, but Bree responded directly to the comments that were said before her, in really a, if this isn't like, if this isn't you and isn't about you, chill. You know what I mean? Like that was really the tenor of
That's
her comments. Just like, yo,
right.
if this doesn't, other people replied like, yo, if it's not, if it doesn't apply to you, don't take offense to it. You know, don't be mad. Essentially, don't be mad about people talking about this movie from their experience, because the point of reviews is for the reviewer to talk about the film from their experience. And so that started a thing, and some other people like disagreed with her comments, and and when the name calling came up, I had to delete it. It was a really good civil conversation, and then like I had to throw the hammer down and remind folks that you're on my wall, I'm not on yours.
Isn't it fun when you have to do that?
It used to be. Now it's just annoying. Because you would think people would have learned by now. Like, this is not people who don't comment ever. These are people who know me very well and know how I approach these things. I finally had to comment, like, do you people not believe me when I say be civil or face deletion? This is not new. I have done this for some time. Must I be ruthless?
Yes. Yes, you must.
Like,
It's your name.
but it was like, come on now. Like, this is not new stuff. This is stuff you know very well. Uh, and
Pretty glad I missed that.
yeah, it's
For
gone now. Like, you
spoilers,
can't.
for spoilers alone, right? For spoiler purposes alone, I'm glad I missed it because if people were talking like that openly about it,
No, that's
because
just
I only
it.
got to
They
see
didn't
it.
talk about the film. They didn't talk about the film at all. They were. This was.
Oh,
They were all mad about. It was all like mad about the review and what was said in the review, or mad at what was said about the reviewer and the review by the person before them in the thread. There was literally no discussion of the film in there. And so it was like, really, really,
that's not how
whatever.
that works.
Yeah, that's not how any of that works.
That's not how that works.
Oh, but yeah, and it's like I feel like people go looking for outrage. You know that I that you
These
know, and
days, I think they do.
we'll talk about we'll reflect on some classic stuff, some words to do with justice stuff. Here now, I feel like even when we were back then talking about this stuff, I feel like we're still in an age where people find the things to be offended by, as opposed to
Well,
being genuinely offended because something was targeted at them to offend them. Like I feel like
I have a very specific example to give.
go
I
for it.
recently joined a new group,
Okay.
and this young lady, I refuse to mention names. If anybody in that group ever just so happens to decide to listen to anything, they'll know who I'm talking about and which post I'm talking about. Because, like I said, I'm relatively new to the group, but apparently she does this all the time,
Hmm.
and it's commentary or disagreement or whatever with colorism as an issue, and her position being that dark-skinned people, especially dark-skinned women, are terribly bitter at light-skinned women, and that we like to ignore, meaning dark-skinned women, like to ignore that colorism exists, which is hilarious at best.
Yeah.
So she makes this post, and I'll screenshot it to you sometime in the next few minutes. She makes this post where she's basically going in on how she's done and she's had it because Tyrese, I guess, just got married to a light-skinned woman and people were upset for whatever reason. And someone wrote a piece explaining basically this is why this is an issue and it should stop being an issue because at the end of the day, we're all Black. It's basically the theme of the piece.
Yeah.
She goes in on, it's like she stopped reading at the part where she basically said that this was an issue. And everything else didn't matter because how dare she say that Tyrese marrying a light-skinned woman is an issue? Like, pause. She said it was an issue, and then she went on to explain why it shouldn't be. Like, literally, the title of the piece was why we need to stop doing this colorism business as Black people. That it's basically, literally, the title is saying stop having an issue with skin color or skin tone specifically. She goes in, and everybody, dark skin, light skin people, everybody's like, dude, you completely misread this entire article. Slow your roll, like, please. But the hate and the venom that came from her at dark skinned women rivals that of any vitriol I've ever heard from dark skinned women to light skinned women, which was hilarious to me because I'm just like, this is like white tears. Because on the one hand, I'm laughing, and on the other hand, I'm just like, this is really sad. Because I couldn't tell if she was trolling or really feeling feelings or just having misplaced feelings. Like, it was just so all over the place and so terrible. I wish you were in this group so that I could tag you in this piece so that you would understand what it is I'm talking about.
I feel like this is one of those groups that probably would have an issue with me.
No, it's not. There are so many people who would probably love to have you there. Yeah. Equally ruthless types. Well, no, not equally, but similarly.
I have a feeling. I just have a feeling. What can I say?
It's okay. I understand. But like I said, like, the whole thing, it was just really sad to me. And really, it was just, she was looking for something to be offended about when there was really nothing to be offended about, at least not as a light-skinned woman.
I love it.
Wearing shoes that don't fit, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of outrageous reactions, I wanna take you back. Not too long in the past, but I want to take you back. The letter series. You got to tell people about the letter series and why you came up with the idea of writing the letters.
To put it as simply and aptly as possible, I was pissed off. I got mad and I was offended by several different things. And the letter series was a really good way for me to get my most venomous, rageous, terribly, most of the time, just to put it in perspective, most of the time between the letter series and my decorum deficiency disorder, the letter series was like decorum deficiency disorder light, because when I went into decorum deficiency disorder, that's when I would start really like cursing and all the other stuff. But the letter series was like the nicest way I can tell you, you fucking up and fix it. So that was basically like, I was pissed off. And so I had to let loose. And I think the first letter series I did was It was either Dear Black People or Dear White People. I don't remember.
So I know which order they appeared in, but I don't know which order you
Which one
wrote
I
them in.
actually wrote first. So
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I remember the reactions as those dropped, and just like going back and checking the counter, and I was like, all right, let's see where it's at. Oh wow, this is moving pretty fast. Let me check this again. Yeah, wonder if it
Yeah.
slowed down yet. Oh wow, no, it hasn't.
Nope. Nope. Yeah,
Ah.
those were good days.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy,
Good
man.
days. And like just to put it also in perspective, it was really cathartic to just be able to let loose like that and know that I was going to piss people off and really not care.
Yeah, it's amazing how that feels to just not give a shit about their feelings.
Yeah, it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
I get
I
like
feel
that.
like we're way overdue for some more letter series.
Maybe,
Long overdue because
maybe that'll be in the future. Ooh,
oh
ooh. Oh
yeah,
man, no,
there's a lot of things out there.
now there
Yeah.
are quite a few people who don't realize and don't know because they haven't been around that long that you were the first co-host of the Wrath of Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our second person that we brought on to give full time status to. So, because I tell the stories all the time, grace us with the story of how you came to be Rain, the Conqueror.
Oh, that's funny that you should say literally the conqueror because shout out to Clifford for actually giving me that name. Um, no, weird and freakish. Also, another shout out to the group um, because that's where I met you.
Yep.
Um, and they gave me the first opportunity to do my first podcast, just a random thing. And then it was like 2 days later, after really enjoying that experience, where you posted the opportunity to be a writer. And I was just like, you know what? I want to do this. And then you created a monster.
I like to think
It's
I
basically
just
how that went. Yeah.
unleashed a monster, but
That too. We can go with that. We can go with that. I was already made. We can do that. Yeah.
so,
But yeah,
yeah, it's
memories.
yeah, it was a beautiful thing. Words don't do it justice. I I sometimes think back about, some of the stuff that we had going there. People don't understand that you really had to run the ship while I was studying for the bar that second time. Because it was just like, I really can't do anything. Here's a bunch of stuff. Just post stuff. Like, there would be constantly Facebook messages. It's like, where's Matt? Hey, do this thing. I got to do this thing.
Like, okay, I guess. And then I'm like, why do you trust me? Like on the inside, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But
uh,
you don't know me like that, right? I could
uh,
totally mess this up. And yeah,
and you could have, but you didn't.
I
So
didn't
I just
because
trusted you more.
to I was afraid to disappoint the ruthless one. I
Um,
was afraid. Didn't want to disappoint, wanted to make things work and
and they
keep
did.
things nice.
And they did. And they did. Like I was talking to I was talking to Ronan the other day, and before we were doing his recording, and we were just kind of talking about how things have evolved and how we have to constantly be evolving. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was telling him, I was like, each year we do anniversary content, and each year we go to Double Toasted's anniversary party, It's like, but the day will come where we are hosting our own anniversary party. You know, as
That would
things
be
grow.
so cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's always about, not just progress, not just moving forward, but growth. Because you can move forward with nothing, but we try to move forward with everything. And it's weird to rebuild things as a podcast, away from the blog side now. But I may not be done with that site just yet. I have some ideas. There are things brewing.
Yes, a brewing they are. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm working on some stuff. I'm working on some stuff I haven't even had a chance to even talk to you about yet.
Oh wow. Secrets and
Yeah.
surprises here on the Wrath of Ruthless, folks.
So, like I said, not going to jinx those things, but
Hmm.
definitely going to make them work because I think, at least as far as the world of geekdom goes, and especially the world of Black geekdom goes, I think I think we need some representation. And someone told me not too long ago that if I don't stop complaining about stuff that I could easily fix, he's going to have to start doubting my commitment to the cause. And I don't deal well with people doubting my commitment to anything.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm going to work
That's
on some things.
that sounds good. Now, I do want to get your thoughts on a story that popped up. Uh,
Mm,
so did you see this Emma Watson Beyonce thing?
no, that is another one of those things that I tend to ignore. I don't have anything necessarily per se, sort of kind of against Beyonce, but I do believe that anytime it has to do with her, it's best if I stay out of it. Except for that one time where I did that one thing where I pissed people off again. Yeah.
Well, in this case, and I can't personally have an opinion because Lord knows if Ruthless has an opinion about anything to do with women, I become the most
You're wrong,
sexist, misogynist, evil person on the planet.
but it's your
So,
name.
and I hate all things women, and I abuse women. All sorts of things have been leveled at me that no one can prove, but whatever. It's like, folks, if you really think I'm that evil, then why are you still listening?
Ruthless loves his mama. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah,
Who just so happens to be a woman. If the
yeah.
mama part didn't pull
Interesting
you
thing
into
there.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, here's what happened. Like I said, I want to get your reaction because, of course, we can't put my reaction up. So, the story was out of the uh, recent photo shoot she did for Vogue magazine that Emma Watson uh, had like some cleavage and underboob showing in a fashion outfit she had on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and people came out on social media and said, "Hey, uh, you're not a feminist because you're dressing like this. You know, you're using you're selling sex, right?"
I understand why it is that you're choosing to get my reaction on this. Go ahead.
So so that happened. So that happened. There's been a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she she said in an interview for Beauty and the Beast, which I won't be seeing because a lot of reasons. So she said, "I don't get what my tits have to do with me being a feminist. You can be a feminist and still, you know, uh, dress sexily if you feel like it. That's what the whole point of feminism is having the choice
Mm-hmm.
as to how you represent yourself. And then because
Correct.
because you're harnessing again somewhere near 85% of 7 billion people, nearing 8 billion, the internet got together and said, wait, you're Emma Watson, right? Didn't you once call out Beyonce for her sex positive feminism, and they went back to 2013, where Beyonce released her self titled LP. Uh, and in response to it, Emma Watson said she was conflicted over Beyonce's outspoken views on feminism, politics, and sexuality, uh, while seeing images of her on camera that felt like a very male, voyeuristic experience of her. And just like Nicki Minaj has yet to respond to Remy Ma, Emma Watson has yet to respond to calls by the Bayhive, which is definitely not shutting up on this one, um,
Mm-mm.
from her to apologize, to explain herself, or to summarily stop, acting in movies and disappear off the planet because they don't stop. There is no such thing as rational or reasonable with those people, and I say
Nope.
all Bayhive members. Like that is neither woman specific nor is that sexuality specific.
Nope.
I there are
Just
straight male Bayhive members, and that is frightening. Um, yeah, that's frightening. Whew. Anyway, so I want to get your thoughts on it. I want to know how you feel about it. Cause it's a thing. Like that's a thing that exists now.
I have to start off by reminding the folks I'm a feminist, proud feminist, a lot feminist, super feminist. Okay? So when people try to redefine what feminism is based on whatever, I get a little displeased.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when it comes to Bay, I generally tend to shy away, except for that one time. Except for that one time. I tend to shy away. Emma Watson, I feel like for the most part, at least especially back in 2013, she was practically still technically considered like a child actress because we were still looking at her on like, oh Lord, why did my brain just go? Give me the movie name.
Harry Potter.
Thank you. Harry Potter. Love Harry Potter. Sorry about forgetting the name. I'm terrible with names. Anyway, so we were still basically looking at her as a child actress on that. So not to discount what she was saying or feeling or whatever, but she was still basically using child brain. Now she's grown and maybe she's got boobs. Maybe. Whatever. So now that she has something to show, of course her daggone opinion on the whole thing is going to change, because now it's like, well, you see, it was different when I didn't have a body that I could show because I had this contract and these movies and this thing that I wasn't really necessarily supposed to do because I was still a child. But now that I'm into my own womanhood, I'm all about womanhood and showing it off and all that stuff. So I'm going to say tits, and I'm probably going to talk about the P word and all that. Yeah.
For the
Of
record,
course she's going to change.
for the record,
Go ahead.
Emma Watson. If we're extremely generous and go back to the very beginning of 2013, that is 4 years ago. So she would have been 22. She's 26 now. She's about to
Yeah,
turn
okay.
27. So really, she was 23, and like
She can be of age, but we were still looking at her as little Hermione
I know
Granger.
I don't have any other opinions on this. I'm not allowed to have any opinions on this. I was just giving that particular bit of factual information so that people who are checking don't go, "Oh my God, she was blah blah blah." Like, listen, she is about to turn 27 in April of this year, which means at the absolute out in 2013, it was 4 years ago. So at the absolute out, she was 22. At her youngest, she was
Nah,
22. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
There's
sorry.
nothing else to go on that.
No
I'm just
matter
saying that.
which way you put it, no matter which way you put it, we were still looking at her as little Hermione Granger. Okay? Even when she did that Maxim cover, people were still mad. Granted, there was a whole segment of people who were like, whoo, look, she grown. On the other hand, there were a whole segment of people who were still mad because she hadn't gotten far enough away from being Hermione Granger. Disney kids had the same experience. Look at Britney Spears. The chick had to shave her head, and I don't know what else it is that she was on, but she went through like what? 3 kids, a baby daddy, a failed marriage, shaved head, and a breakdown in order to actually get to establish herself as an adult. All of these things happen when you start being a famous person as a child. So she started out as a child. People still saw her as a child. So she had to say and continue saying and being a child, even though by age she was a woman. Because when she did I'm saying Maxim because I think it was Maxim, but it was one of the men's magazines where she was basically naked. And I saw the Naked magazine, basically Naked magazine, and she didn't have that much body anyway to show some stuff about Beyonce. It was probably because she didn't have much body to show herself, and she was hating. That's what women do. Feminist or not, she was hating. I'm not saying that it's okay for her to say things and then be backtracking just because it's convenient for her own personal image, but that's basically what's happening. And making it a big deal, it's kind of a waste. But we are talking about the Bayhive.
Which is the other half of the reason why I'm absolutely not addressing my own opinion on this.
It's just such a like I said, like
it's
I
an
don't,
issue
I don't,
about
I'm not.
feminism. Okay, I'm definitely not talking about this. Oh, it's feminism
Yeah, don't
and
do
Emma
it.
Watson. Okay, I'm definitely not saying this. It's feminism, Emma Watson, and talking about Beyonce. Nope. I'm out.
Honey
Bye.
bunches of it.
See how I just let Rain talk about that and didn't say anything other than that one fact about her age? Yeah, that's exactly how I'm going to treat this. That's how I treat all
Age means
situations.
age means absolutely nothing when it comes to people who are growing up in fandom, or not fandom, in famousdom. Age means nothing. Because at least even in my head, it is hard for me to see her as anyone else but the puffy-haired Hermione Granger. That's who she's going to be until I see her in something better. And then, even though, like I said, I saw her on the cover of that magazine with the no clothes, I saw it. I was like, oh, wow. She naked. Alrighty then. Moving right along. My brain, for the most part, glossed right on over that and went back to Hermione Granger.
Oh man, see,
It's a crazy reality, but that is what it is. And women, I mean, this is why we have such a hard time really being friends, because we're always hating on each other. That's the real issue here.
that's what it is. Now, of course, folks are looking at those. Oh, they actually can't see. It's just us. But there were tons of tweets. Oh my lord, Twitter is like, yo, if I ever get like half of the problems some of these people have on Twitter, I will shut down my social media accounts. Yo, oh, there's craziness. Now I want to get us out of here uh, on a positive note. I want to get us out of here on something that's actually really kind of cool. So let's pull this up. I might actually show this to people as you see it. Let me see if I
Okay.
can find this. I talked about the unicorn tears. I want to say might be further down. There's the roller coaster. All right, yeah, it's coming up. So this is a really cool thing, and yeah, folks, we're kind of live recording. Knowing I'm
Mm-hmm.
editing this out because I don't want to hear the other crazy conspiracy theory
Oh, do share.
Just people are stupid. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I already do that.
Okay, I think. Yep, it is. All right. So let's get this to where everybody can see this. Move it back over here. Pop that there.
Am I watching?
Yeah, you're gonna be watching in just a second. Gotta make it so everybody can see this. And so that we don't get a copyright strike, we're gonna have to leave the logo in this. All right.
Because that's a thing.
That happens a lot. You have no idea. I have done so many edits and re-uploads of the wrestling show on my page.
Mm.
It's insane. All right, so here we go.
This house was built in 24 hours. How? Thanks to modern technology, Happy's Core 3D printing. Happy's Core, building the future today.
3D printed?
We print building.
I've heard about it. Well, but it must be so expensive. I don't think it's possible right now. But I've heard, yes, I've heard that you can make some stuff, some little stuff.
The house in 24 hours. No way. في رأيي أن التكنولوجيا المضافة سوف يكون لها مستقبل عظيم.
E claro que gracias a este método podemos volver a construir las viviendas más baratas y más accesibles. For this house? Why not? Why not? I think it's a good idea. Well, it should be the same, just like other houses.
والبناء على طريقة 3D سيفتح آفاق جديدة وفرص عظيمة للمستقبل.
Sounds interesting.
Construction 3D printing and its advantages have been known for a long time, but it didn't leave the facilities of closed factories. Existing printers are big and bulky, have a portal design, have height restrictions for printed buildings, as well as are difficult to transport and assemble on site. This is an expensive novelty which could never find a wide application in the construction industry. These printers print only separate walls and sections of buildings, and subsequent assembly is inevitable. The walls of this house were printed entirely on site. This is the world's
Crazy,
first
right?
actually printed
Indeed.
with the advent of Appy's Core.
Right now, what I'm seeing is many, many, many lost jobs.
Yes and no. And you'll kind of see it as this video continues on. It's not a long video, folks, so don't worry. That's only like 7 minutes. So this unit only really handles the concrete. And so because it only handles the concrete, it is very efficient at handling like the hardest part of the construction, which of course is all the actual work there. The duct work, the actual physical ducts themselves, the pipes and things of that nature, those are all done by human beings. They're the ones that place them in there. They do the sheeting between layers. Like you can see that sort of tarmac looking flat. That's all done by human beings with help from the robot. But
is possible at temperatures from 5 degrees Celsius above zero. The equipment can operate at temperatures as low as minus 35 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, but who wants
they
to
can
live there?
operate at negative 35 Celsius, which means that this thing could work basically everywhere on the planet where human beings currently live.
I mean, I feel like human beings shouldn't live there.
No, but I'm saying like 24 hours to have this done.
Mhm.
printed in both summer and winter.
See,
In the printing process, we used horizontal
that means you could literally save someone's
reinforcements
life with
for
this
the
thing.
walls. The quality of
But
the
also means that
printed
like
wall
research
surface
people
allows to
could put
perform
this up in
final
remote
finishing
areas
immediately, which
very quickly,
significantly reduces the cost of
and it would
finishing
reduce the
work.
cost of doing
The
certain
roof of
kinds
the
of research.
printed house,
Like
in
you could print
accordance with
this,
the
you could print a
architectural
structure that
project,
is
is flat.
easy for the
Such a
environment to
roof
handle
can effectively
and
withstand
properly,
high snow loads and durability requirements.
observe
Its
nature
cost is
without too much
comparable with
intrusion,
street
because
roofs,
this can
which
literally
are
be built
common for our
in
country.
a very
The app is
small overall
called
footprint.
Construction 3D printing
Mhm.
technology, adapted for different methods of printed walls thermal insulation. This project used loose dry insulating material
See,
on one part of the house and polyurethane filler composition on the other. Technology does not require fixtures and fills all voids in the space between the bearing wall and the outer concrete structure, avoids the formation of cold bridges. On the inside, the printed house is no different from a regular concrete house. It is also comfortable and reliable. The house interior includes a hall, a bathroom, a living room, and a compact functional kitchen with the most
I mean, as long as it's not in negative 35 degrees, I could totally move in there right now.
square meters. Construction costs amounted to $10,134.
11
which
grand
corresponds to
gets you this thing
approximately
furnished.
$275 per square meter. And this, in view of the shape complexity of the
11
building,
grand.
prices include
So
all
less
the
than
works and
most new
materials
cars.
for the construction of foundation, roof,
Like this
exterior
house was
That's
cheaper to
exterior
build
scope,
and furnished
installation
than
of
my
key
car
insulation of
was
walls,
to buy.
windows, floors, and ceilings.
that's less than I owe on my car right now.
Using materials of an average price category.
That's so sad.
It's crazy, right? The average
Yeah.
house is 275 for square meter in that country. It's obviously much higher in the U.S.
Mhm.
But like by eliminating the danger of dealing with the construction materials and focusing the teams on only dealing with the more human element stuff like pipes and wiring,
Mhm.
you could actually run more crews. This machine is apparently not that expensive. That was one of the things that they worked on.
Hmm.
Imagine if every
That is
construction company
fascinating.
had 15 to 20 of these. You wouldn't lose crews. You would get more crews. You could pay more people because your equipment doesn't cost as much.
Building the future today.
And that's the Apis Core. That's the amazing new 3D printer. So, but yeah, like imagine that being, ubiquitous, all across the world.
I mean, it's an amazing thing what technology can do for us as humankind or whatever.
Hmm.
But, or not, but, and I am intrigued to see what it is that we're actually going to really end up doing with all of this.
Well, if you switch to concrete, you're cutting down fewer trees, and because concrete can hold paint longer and withstand weather, you're essentially removing. Oh, and because you don't need as much of a disturbing of the land, you're essentially removing a lot of the barriers to human growth. So you could get more people homes. Um, I'm not saying that I'm personally doing this, obviously, but uh, like a company, for instance, like if the UN got this, right? The
Yeah,
UN gets this, and there's a disaster in
like there
Somalia.
was just this last weekend,
Well, yeah,
or not league weekend, but this last week.
2 days ago. I'm in Kansas City, I know. Uh, uh, but like, imagine the UN's going in with their disaster relief with 30 of these things. Okay, Concrete's something that you can make in basically every country. There are really no places on the planet where you can't create concrete, like liquid concrete, to build homes with. So UN disaster relief goes from being tents for everyone in destroyed areas to being brand new homes. Like to this house, this was built in Russia, so they know they can do the -35 Celsius. Which, spoiler alert, that's a lot lower in Fahrenheit. Um, this house can last up to
Like
175 years.
absolutely not.
This thing can last up to 175 years, according to the company. But on top of that, you're talking about 24 hours to print that house, which was a hallway, bathroom, living room, kitchen, and like a um, like bedroomish area. It wasn't properly a bedroom, but it's bedroomish area and entry. So imagine just a little bit larger, adding on a couple more hours to build that design. They've said that they have some different designs they were able to build that took about 30 hours. All right, so 30 hours. That means in 30 hours, a person's house is back. So let's say the UN has 20 of these things in one area. Like outside, just inside of a month, people have a place to live. And when those people build their own houses because they get their insurance, if it's in the U.S., or they get some other, help from the government, or if they need to stay in there permanently, it doesn't matter. In a situation like New Orleans with the flooding, boom, you now have people in homes. And then when they move out, you can repurpose that into homes for homeless people. Like imagine building tiny houses of this for people who are, currently living on the streets. Like imagine that. We could do
The
this.
possibilities.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
literally end homelessness as long as we work on these new technologies. Like I think that's amazing. And then you think about situations like in China and India where you just have people on top of people. You can get those people out of those squalorish living conditions there as well, because not only could China take this and build way more of these at a much faster rate than the company in Russia could, but they definitely have the access to the materials to make the concrete and to
And
be, yeah,
the manpower to build the machines themselves.
yeah. But even bigger than that, see, that's just helping people. Now think about what you can do if you aren't just in here, people. You're out here trying to make money on this thing. Yo, give me 5 of these and give me 5 crews of 10 guys. We will be out in these streets making money. Oh, you want a house? Go buy this land. I can put a house on it in a week. I can fully put a house on it in a week. That includes paint drying. That includes your foundation. That includes like I wish I could get one of these machines. Like I'd be out here like forget my job. Forget this JD. Forget the screenplays. Like forget this bar license. You give me some guys who want to work and 5 of these machines. I really only need one, but give me 5 so I can run some crews. You know what I'm saying? Like give me some guys who want to work and some of these machines. I'm
Or,
gonna
or
most.
some gals, because, we did just talk about feminism, Get some
I mean,
chicks in
yeah,
there. You can get
yes,
some
that
chicks.
too. Yes, all women. But
Some chicks in there.
I was just saying, guys in the ubiquitous. Like I say, dudes, but I'm
Right.
talking about everyone. But give me some people who want to work. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you want to do with life. As long as you are here to work, I can use you. Give me some crews to go work. We will be done. Do you hear me? Like that's a 10 million inside a year, first year kind of machine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can run multiple locations at once, I don't have. I like, yeah, we're gonna run in Kansas City. Like I would make it an event when we're gonna be in your town. Like, yo, we're gonna run Kansas City for all of May. All right. For June, we're running Chicago. July, we're running. Just like I would do cities like that until I had money to buy more of these machines or have them built, and then suddenly I'm everywhere. Like, oh my goodness, $10,000 to build that house. Ten
Very,
grand.
very good possibilities. That's what I'm saying. I'm intrigued to see what we can, or what, yes, what we can accomplish with the way this technology is going. Because, I mean, I saw a video, not to take it too far off topic, but I saw a video not too long ago where they were 3D printing organs.
Yeah.
You can 3D print an organ. You can 3D print a limb. You can 3D print a bone structure, musculature, and all of that, so that a wounded service person can get their leg back. Like, you can 3D print an aorta.
Yeah.
That's a part of a heart, by the way, for anybody out there who's not sure.
Yeah.
Like, you can 3D print so much stuff and have it work in amazing ways. I'm just intrigued
And imagine,
to see where we end up with this.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this point and you're thinking, okay, these are hard materials, but that's just the start. Imagine when we can combine our ability to do things like clone organs, as well as make artificial or like biomechanic, as I like to call them, biomechanic organs, made entirely in laboratories. You combine that with this ability to 3D print, and we may literally never need to do human to human transplants ever again. Like, yeah, this hits home. This hits close to home for me because my brother spent almost 280 days in a hospital waiting for a heart transplant. Like, the idea that if anything ever happens with his heart, like, he would have to go through that again, frightens me even right now. But
Right.
imagine if he never had to worry about that ever again, because whenever anything happened, they could just take some of his cells, go over here to this laboratory, they make the new heart. They get the materials together to make the new heart. The 3D printer at the hospital makes the new heart based on the information that it receives from the laboratory, and boom, he's got a brand new heart that works just as good as his original heart did, if not better, and it's not going to reject because it's his cells.
Amazingness will
That's how we
ensue.
conquer the stars, Rain. Have I told you about this, the world ship thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get out of here, folks. I promise this will be it. Because this is one of those things. But all right. So check this out. So the problem with human society is at some point we will get too big for this planet. The other problem is we have not gotten ourselves to the point where we can do large scale travel in the stars. And that's because we need a bunch of different things. Like, we have not gotten to the point where propulsion is simple without using nuclear power, and it may be that we're never going to get past the point of being able to use nuclear power. We probably just need nuclear power. So if we could discover cold fusion, sure, we could totally pull it off at a better rate. But right now, we just can't do it. So the world ship idea is this. You have a belt around the planet built of space elevators. And space elevators, for those that don't know what space elevator is, essentially it is a giant tower that is anchored on the planet and is also anchored at some point in space or in high Earth orbit. So, like, the absolute end of the atmosphere for the planet is where the space elevator ends at. And you essentially link them all together by a kind of like a big ring, basically, around the planet uh, that allows things to be constructed and travel through and attached to that ring so that the space elevators can constantly supply it. The reason why you build a space elevator is because it takes a ton of propulsion and thus a ton of fuel. And I don't mean ton as in that measurement, but I mean an extreme amount.
A lot.
Yeah. To get things from the planet up, and that increases as the mass of the things you need to get up there increases and the weight of those things increase. So getting the kinds of parts you would need into space to build, say, a space station, a how you imagine it from sci-fi, whether you watch Star Trek or Star Wars or any other sci-fi kind of thing, a space station, the parts getting into space are incredibly expensive to get up there and would have to go up in pieces on shuttles and rockets and would take literally forever. Whereas a space elevator could use all electrical, just normal elevator propulsion basically, just at a higher speed to get that stuff up there and would reduce cost. So you build the ring of space elevators. You pack them with solar panels because you don't really need to use the Earth to use the Earth's electricity to power a space elevator. Like the solar panels would literally just get every single bit of sun on the planet. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you run that up, you keep running those things up there, and you make what they call a world ship. I've toyed with world ships before in some like practice writing where I've been working on concepts for things. And a world ship idea is this: it's anything that's over 100,000 people in um, capacity. So any ship that can hold 100,000 or more is considered a world ship because it's
Okay.
essentially city sized,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you can have enough genetic um,
Material, technically, to keep
yeah,
it on base terms.
but even like just the genetic diversity is high enough to where you are not you are pretty much guaranteed to not have an incest problem other than humans being disgusting. Uh,
Which humans generally are.
they can be very disgusting. I would hope in the situation they wouldn't be. We don't need more Cersei and Jamie Lannisters. Uh, hashtag Tyrion's not
Jeez.
Lannister. Hashtag uh, winter is coming. Hashtag unbowed and been and broken. Um, but the my world ship idea is essentially you put 100,000 people on a ship that has a capacity of 200,000, and with that amount of people in that environment, along with things that you wouldn't normally expect, like you would actually have animals, you would have trees, plants. The like a ship like that would probably be, to give you one reference, like a fourth of the size of the moon. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like a fourth of the size of the moon. You probably would even like build it in orbit around the moon.
It
Uh,
would need to be because otherwise it wouldn't. There's there would be nowhere literally on Earth to build something
well, you would never
to
build it on Earth.
create that.
That's what the space elevators are for. You're not building this thing on Earth in the first place. You're
Right.
building it in space.
No,
But
I'm just saying like it would have to be, but it would have to be. The reason why I'm saying it would have to be done around the moon's orbit is just because I feel like for it to be built on the Earth's orbit, it could potentially be a problem.
for yeah, tides and things like that, it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you build the world ship. It's built essentially. It looks like just a you know a large state. Like that's I think the mathematicians once proved that you could fit without accounting for personal space. You could fit every single person on the planet inside the state of Kansas.
Seriously?
Yeah, physical space wise, like physically, if you account for a certain amount of space per person, you could fit everyone onto um, the state of Kansas.
Let's not do that though. That would be terrible. 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 So
Well,
terrible. The
well, yeah,
filth. The
I agree.
smell. The smell.
Okay,
The
Agent Smith.
smell.
Agent Smith out here
Let's
saying,
not do this.
oh, but no.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're building something for 100,000 people with a capacity of 200,000. That size wise is about the size of Rhode Island,
Okay.
which is still fairly big when you think about it. Uh, and the reason why I say Rhode Island, because of how small it's like that gives people a state size. It would be a
Right.
little bit bigger, but it would not get too much bigger at all. It probably wouldn't get bigger than Connecticut, honestly. Um, but you build this
Connecticut is actually pretty big.
exactly, uh, but it's still small by comparison to most states. That's what
New
I'm,
York, Texas.
yeah, but that's the idea. Like you don't need a. What I'm saying is you don't need a state like a Texas sized spaceship. Like that's not what we're dealing with here. But you build it uh, with essentially things like false light, so like false sun and moon cycles to keep the human beings' brains from losing their minds. But also you build things like you would put a lot of soil and the ability to grow, grow things and crops, and city space, and you essentially work it to where people are living very similar to how they live on Earth. Um, the outside, the best design I've ever seen is that essentially it's a bit like the Death Star. Um, so you
I'm
what you
gonna nix that idea also.
it's not what you think. It's not what you think. I promise. So what you do is essentially you build another globe, but it's not built the way you think it's built. You could have like an area to where you could see the outside, but it's essentially three pieces. So the outmost outer layer is where your propulsion is. So that's sending the vehicle forward. Then there is a uh, layer inside of that is constantly spinning, um, like constantly rotating, and that
Right.
is to create gravity, inside, and that's where people live. So people live in the very center of this thing,
Right.
because you would need all that other space to have all the machines that run and that deal with inertia and deal with the propulsion and deal with electricity and power and all that stuff. But you combine solar because you're going to inevitably be in range of different stars at different points. But you combine solar and just absolutely ridiculously massive nuclear power. So that middle layer that's rotating is also shielding the humans from that stuff. Um,
Interesting.
and so you build a world ship, and like I said, you have that 200,000 capacity, with 100,000 actually initially put on there, and essentially you let them live their way to another planet. Uh, we found that if you could keep propulsion at, I think 2 Gs. If you could keep propulsion at 2 Gs, so just constantly at 2 Gs, you would get to a place 1 year longer than it takes in light years.
Hmm.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So now that's really fast. That's nowhere near approaching the speed of light. Really fast. It's faster than anything currently let currently have out going at speed. Most things we have rockets propel them into space and then we just let them float. But if you could constantly keep propulsion at about 2 Gs, um, you would reach there. Like I said, I think it's like a year longer than it would take, um, in normal light. So if something's 50 light years away, you're going to get there in 51 years,
Hmm.
because like that propulsion, that g of propulsion is constantly increasing your momentum. So you're never going to get to the speed of light, but you're going to constantly approach it, which means that you're going to get there. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get there fairly quickly, which means you could get to some of these places like those, that we just found that star with seven planets in the habitable zone and three
Mm-hmm.
which are Earth-like. You could literally get people there. Like
Hmm.
we wouldn't be able to communicate with them for most of the time that they were going, and we would hear about them like 20 plus years after they got there, until we figured out some way to kind of laser beam information back and forth. But you could get there, like before I died. You could get there if we left now, obviously. So it's possible, and that is a huge development. But yeah, imagine the world ship. Like imagine going on that ship.
Imagine the world ship with some 3D printers where you can print some houses when they get there.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like you have you put stuff like that on there. So like number one, you have like this. People are gonna be like, man, that means everybody has to be vegetarian. Like no, no. You raise animals like humans do. You have
Mm-hmm.
you have them on there. You have tightly put together ecosystems, but you also do smart stuff. Like yes, you're gonna eat a lot more vegetables than you are meat now. What? Welcome to
And
that world.
you're going to definitely, if you want the animals to be able to survive on that planet, you're definitely going to be storing some of their genetic material and stem cells and
Oh,
all
absolutely.
that kind of stuff,
That's the
so
whole
that you can
idea.
create clones of these animals once you get to where you're going. You're going to
Yes.
make some of those self-sustaining indoor plant kind of ecosystem thingies where all they need is just the fake sunlight. Like, you're going to create all of those things to make it so that when they get to wherever it is that they're going later, they can actually live like people do on Earth
Yeah, I
and
mean,
hopefully
you grow using,
do better.
vertical gardens and hydroponics, and
Yeah, all that stuff.
you do all those different genetic modifications to the plant life so that they can handle space, but you keep normal Earth plants, um, and normal Earth animals, so flora and fauna, uh, available to do cloning, because
Mhm.
spoiler alert, cloning will help us get into space, and so that you don't have to do like truly dastardly things on the world ship. One of the things that I did a writing exercise about, um, just to kind of get my brain thinking on how to screw with things in other stories I work on. Uh, I did this entire idea of what would be the way you dealt with population growth. Oh man, I don't know, because you would have to have.
You don't want me to answer this
Well,
question.
that's what I'm saying. Like I had three answers. Some are good, some are dark. So the first one, um, you. This is an easy one. This is the easiest one. You have
Mm-hmm.
100,000 people on there, but up to 20,000 of those are going to have to be children anyway, because most of your population is going to age and die at some point in space. So you put those 20,000 at most, um, into stasis. So you put 20,000 kids in
Mm-hmm.
stasis. Now that's light on the dark end, because these kids are going to basically wake up at some point in the trip when they get close enough, learn all the things about the ship, and take over going forward. So that's a light one. Hey, 80,000 people on a ship with 200,000 capacity and food to feed 200,000 at any time. So 20,000 kids in stasis isn't bad. They're living. We saw passengers. It's okay. We didn't see passengers, but all these movies in stasis exist. We've seen Stargate SG-1. This works. So that's the light version. Then there's
Mm-hmm.
the semi-dark, uh, and that is, you don't put current human beings on the world ship. Uh, well, you shouldn't say don't put any. You put some. You put about 50,000, and the rest of the ship is those 50,000 creating clones based on the DNA of people still on Earth, which means you're cloning humans. And if any of those 50,000 die, there's clones. You can make clones of them as well, and so you're guaranteed to get seeded on this planet with humans, but they're cloned humans. So however you feel about clones, that's a possibility. And then we get to the dark stuff, where there's like limitations on how many kids people can have, where uh, every 5 to 10 years in space, a certain amount of the population over a certain age has to die. Like it gets dark from there. Like, but those are the kind of things I was rolling around in my head, and I was like, that's when I found out about the propulsion thing, which was only a couple weeks ago. Um, and I found out about the planets, a few weeks before that. That was the thing that got me. Was like, that world ship idea could work, because people could do that. Because on a planet of nearly 8 billion people, you could find 100,000 people that would be down to be like, yeah, I'll travel space, knowing that I might not get anywhere, I might die in space.
Mm-hmm.
You give them their own internet, where like, you know, what like think about, like, once a month there's a laser beam of a bunch of data from Earth, but like there's plenty of space to do Earth-like stuff on the ship. So they've got their own TV shows, and they've got their own. like they're secretly living a communist dream, but they're also like they're also being creative in their own ways, and so they're beaming back every few months. They're laser beaming back stuff to Earth. Obviously, that takes longer and longer, but they're beaming that
Mhm.
stuff back and forth, and so you have this whole like captured ecosystem of humanity and Earth itself, floating off into space to see the galaxy, but they're also getting to experience Earth here, and they're also being creative in their own way. Like that could be a really cool thing. I'm hyped and excited about that. I don't know if you are. I mean, imagine it.
I mean, I'm kind of. I mean, I've I've been watching TV shows and movies about basically this my entire life. So, I mean, it makes sense. Um, there are, of course, parts of me that are like, no, let humanity die. But um, I guess that's dark rain, right? But I get it, and I'm
Yeah.
not to be a broken record, but I look forward and am intrigued by the possibilities of what technology can do for us.
And that's the thing, like that's like exciting. Like the idea of it's just exciting to me. Like we're almost there. We're almost there. I think if we can figure out, and that's the other thing, if we can figure out a reliable method uh without any issues of cloning animals that works well and can get a more efficient uh set of nuclear engines, as well as things like you gotta vent out CO2, and you gotta keep oxygen in and things like that. But like, if as long as we can get those things figured out, like imagine if we can figure out a good CO2 scrubber that returns oxygen to the encapsulated atmosphere. That's it. We're there.
Well,
We're there.
I think we technically already have that.
Well, I mean, like efficient enough to handle 100,000 people in that encapsulated space.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, well, yeah.
Because I
It's,
mean,
but
there's
we have that on much smaller scales, I guess is a better way to put it. Because
yeah,
yeah,
because the only things we gotta do is we gotta stop quote fire, but like smoke from cooking would be easy to vent out in that kind of space. Uh, you know, all really all issues related to you know need for open fire are gone. I mean, it's all electrical at that point because we got nuclear power. You know, like it could work, right?
I
It
love how
really could.
excited you are.
Yeah, because I'm a science fiction guy as much as I'm a fantasy guy. Like my
Hmm.
I mean, let's be real here. The Project 13, the secret project that people don't know about, the novel series
Hmm.
that's being worked on, is really a love letter to sci-fi and post-apocalyptic, ideas, and has like heavy influence on yeah, from on some of the smaller things that I'm working on. And of course, we talked to Chris yesterday about the Arcadia project, which is all high fantasy. Like this could work, and this isn't fantasy. Like this is possible because you could still have like it's like Connecticut, a ship's interior for people that is the size of Connecticut is big enough for us to have plane flight. Like it's big enough for electric cars. There wouldn't be traffic. There's only 100,000 people. There wouldn't be traffic. Even at 200,000 people, there's no traffic. None.
Oh,
No traffic ever again. And all those cars get charged up on nuclear power. Like we would probably have some amazing scientific breakthroughs on that thing that we would have to transmit back to Earth. Like that's crazy. So anyway, I'm hype. What can I say? But that's that. We've gone crazily over time here. But it is great to have you on again. I have missed you so.
indeed. I've missed you too.
Feels good to be back. We gotta do more stuff. We gotta do more stuff.
We do, and
And
we will.
I gotta come down to Atlanta to visit my favorite pup.
Hmm. He's KO'd now.
Oh, Good deal.
after all that friend making.
Well, good deal. Well, let folks know where they can find you, and we're going out of here.
I am still findable on the Instagram and the Facebookish, and where else? Of course, WDIJ.net. Yeah, and Facebook and all that. Reign, Justice, O Change.
There you go. And of course, you can find her on Twitter.
Ah, yeah, that too. Reign, Justice, O Change.
Same thing. So look for her there. For everybody at 314 Publishing, Words Don't Do It Justice, Weekends Don't Do It Justice, and of course, The Wrath of Ruthless. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.